Chip, we've seen the file tabs in Teams and in chats, and I get that you can save them there, but why wouldn't I just save it on my network server or in Google Drive?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And there's a few different reasons why you might want to use the file section in Teams instead of a network server or Google Drive or just your own documents and desktop. There's really about 5 reasons. One is it's more accessible. I mean, if we want Teams to be our one dashboard, our one cockpit for all of our activity, then it's helpful to have our files there too. It's also got some built-in features, like there's built-in security. So if I put a file in the Team for Awesome Video Project, for example, I know that only the team members who are in the Awesome Video Project's team will be able to see those files. So as opposed to a company file server where I don't know exactly who has access to those files. Or worse, my own personal cloud service or something like that where it's outside of the company's control. Plus, being in Teams, they're automatically backed up. There's also automatic version control, which means that if somebody in the team goes in and makes some changes to a file, you can go back and roll it back to a previous version. So there's a lot of features that are built into that Files tab. Let's look at a few ways that we can use that Files tab to our advantage.
Okay.
So I'm here in my Microsoft Teams app on my Mac, and this works pretty much the same on the Mac and the PC. I'm here inside the Teams. I'm in the Awesome Video Project team in the General channel. And remember that each channel has its own Files section. So if I put files here under the General tab, so I've got these 2, they won't be there under the Video Content channel. It has its own set of files. So let's go to this General channel and let's go to the Files tab. And by the way, the Files tab in chat works pretty much the same. There is one important behind-the-scenes difference that we'll talk about later, but other than that, the files, everything we're showing for files in channels and in Teams works the same in chat. So let's go back to our team. I'll go to my files. So you can see I already have 2 files in here. If I want to add more files in here for my team to access, there's a couple of different ways I can do it. One is I have this upload button, so I can choose upload and then browse my local PC. So let's say that I wanted to upload this spreadsheet to my Teams tab. I can browse to find it. I'll choose open. You can see over here on the right it says uploading one file, and then there's that spreadsheet in my Files tab. And everyone will be able to see it. Everyone on the team will be able to see that file. Something else we can do is on Windows or on the Mac, I can actually drag and drop files into Teams. So since I'm on the Mac, I'll open Finder. If I was in Windows and I had Explorer, it would be the same way. But if I have a list of files that I'm looking at, and let's say that I want to move this BrainBytes time management course document over to my Teams, I can just click on it and drag. Notice that when I mouse over the Teams part, I get that green plus symbol and it says drop your files here. I'll just let go. Now it says uploading one file, and there's my BrainBytes time management document. Also notice that it's telling me when that document was modified, which includes when it was uploaded. So we uploaded the Excel spreadsheet 2 minutes ago and the time management document just now. Now another way we can upload files is through email. We looked at this before, but if you remember what we did was on this channel, I can choose my 3 dots and I can get an email address for this channel, which is going to be some big, long, complicated thing. I'm going to do Control-C or Command-C on a Mac to copy that. So if I go into my Microsoft Outlook or any email program, doesn't matter which one, and if I choose New Email, I'm going to paste that address that it just gave me into my to line. Subject doesn't matter. I can just say Upload File. If I attach anything to this email, it's going to automatically upload it into the file system. So let's say that I want to put this PM Fundamentals course up there as well. I'll choose that. I'll hit choose. It's attached. I'm going to hit send. If I go back over into Teams, you'll see in the conversation where it says that I've sent that email, and the content of the email is there as well, but so is the attachment. And now if I go into the Files section, I'll see a folder called Email Messages, and inside that I'll see that attachment. Now later I'll show you how you can move that attachment somewhere else if you don't want to keep it in that Email Messages folder. Something else I can do is notice that I have a new icon up here. I could just create the document right from here. So let's say that you and I are going to work together on a list of ideas for our video project. Rather than having to create that document somewhere else, I could just do it right here. So I'll do New. Notice I get the option of a folder where I could start organizing my files into different folders. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. I'll make a folder and I'll call it Project Ideas. Notice there's a little bit of a delay sometimes. Then I'm going to click on that folder to go inside it. Nothing inside this folder. So I'll choose New, and let's make a Word document. And let's call this Video Ideas. And I'll choose Create. Now what it's doing is it's actually opening the online version of Microsoft Word, which 3 years ago was a very mediocre at best program. But I'll tell you, today it's getting harder and harder to find features that the desktop version of Word has that the online version doesn't. So you can really get away with using the online version of Word for most of your work if you're an online kind of person. And that works really well for us here in Teams because, as we'll see in a minute, there's 2 different ways, maybe 3 different ways we can use Word Online or any of the online apps inside Teams. So here we have our document, and it's just like Microsoft Word. I'll just click somewhere and start typing. Let's see. I'll make a title called Video Ideas. I'll select that and make it a heading 1. And then I'll just start typing, and let's make a list here. So this course really isn't about how to use Word Online or Excel Online or PowerPoint Online, but just to give you an idea, we have a lot of the same formatting commands that we're used to. We can highlight, we can boldface, I can change the color. If I wanted to make that, let's say, this brown color for some reason. If I wanted to make a numeric list, I can do that. If I want to indent, I can do that. I mean, a lot of the same commands that I'm used to. I can change the font, change the size, and so on. I can also add photos. By inserting pictures, I can insert tables, hyperlinks, and so on. All the functions that most people would use in Microsoft Word are here in Microsoft Word Online. So I'm going to backspace over that little extra stuff I threw in there. So let's say this is good enough for our document for right now. Normally in Microsoft Word you would go to save it, but in the online version it's automatically saved. So notice it even tells me that at the top, that it's saved. So all I really have to do is close. Now I can start a conversation. I'm going to come back and show you that in just a little bit though. So I'm going to go ahead and close this document because I want to show you the other ways that we can put files into our Microsoft Teams. So there's the Video Ideas document that we just created. I want to show you some more things we can do with that, but let me show you 2 more ways we can get files in here. Okay. And this gets a little bit geeky. Behind the scenes, Microsoft Teams is working with 2 key parts of Office 365. Microsoft Groups, also called Outlook Groups or Office 365 Groups, and SharePoint. SharePoint is kind of the engine behind the scenes that manages all of the file sharing and the file storage for most things in Office 365, including Microsoft Teams. So for example, if I go back to my Office 365 on the web, now notice I do have Teams here, and of course that's the web version of Teams. I would expect to see it there. But I can go into SharePoint. Now, have you ever used SharePoint before?
I haven't.
It's very popular in some quarters. It's extremely powerful. It's a great way to build a collaboration site for you and your team. It's what we used to recommend for people before we had Microsoft Teams, and now Microsoft Teams is probably a better choice for a lot of situations. But what you'll notice inside SharePoint is there is a SharePoint site for each team that we set up. So over in Teams, I was in the Awesome Video Project team, and I was in the General Channel and the Project Ideas folder. If I go back into my SharePoint, now I need to find a team called Awesome Video Project. It won't always show up because if I haven't accessed it before, it won't show up here, but I can search for it. So I come up here and choose Search and type in Awesome, then it's going to find the one that I'm looking for. So if I go to this SharePoint site, and again, this is not a course on SharePoint, so I don't want to get into all the features here, but if I go into the Documents section, you'll notice that I have a folder for each channel. We were in the General Channel, and inside there we had made a folder called Project Ideas, but notice that's the same documents we were seeing before in our General Channel, and inside Project Ideas, there's our video ideas we just made. If I click on that to view it, it's going to open Word Online here inside SharePoint, and we'll see that it's the exact same document that we were just working on.
Wow, that's really cool.
That's helpful. I'll tell you what's even more helpful, though. Sometimes you've got some team members who live in Outlook. I think most of us live in Outlook because we have to answer emails all day. Sometimes it's helpful to be able to grab those files from Outlook And that's where the integration with Outlook Groups is also helpful. So let me start off by showing you on the web version of My Outlook. So if I go into my Outlook web app here in Office 365, and we're going for Microsoft Groups or Outlook Groups. There's no app for Outlook Groups, but you'll see it inside your Outlook. So over here on the folders, if I scroll down, I'll see a section called Groups, and I see one for Awesome Video Project. If I choose that, then over on the right, remember, like we talked about back in the Creating Teams module, Microsoft has changed the way that teams and groups interact. By default now, when you create a team, the group is hidden. So if you want to be able to use these groups features, you need a visible group. To do that, either create the group first and then create the team from the group, or ask your IT department if they can make the group unhidden. I'll see a section for conversations. Now this conversation is separate from what we see in Teams, so don't get confused by that. But notice I also have a section for files. And here I see all the same files that we saw in Awesome Video Project, except I don't see the folder. I'll see the folder in SharePoint, but I won't see it in Groups. Now, if you're in the Outlook desktop application, let me show you what it does on yours. Since you're on the Windows PC, go ahead and go into your Outlook. And just like in the web app, if you scroll down on the left, you'll see your section for Groups, and you'll see one for Awesome Video Project. Go ahead and click on that. Now in the desktop app, you don't currently see the files directly here, but notice in your ribbon at the top, there's an icon for files. If you click on that, that's going to take you into basically the same SharePoint folder we saw before. So here's different folders for each channel, and we were in the general channel, so go into that folder, go ahead and click on that. And then inside there, we were in the Project Ideas folder, double click on that, and there's our Video Ideas documents. So there's a lot of different ways you can add files into your teams. You don't necessarily have to worry about all this SharePoint and group stuff if you don't want to. Just kind of know that it's there. So if you're ever browsing around in your Office 365 one day and you come across your groups and you see, hey, there's a lot of files in here. I've already got these files over in Teams. I don't need them here. Don't delete them in groups because that'll also delete them in Teams. It's the same files.